10 truths in 10 days. Stuff 60 years of living have taught me, mostly the hard way. I'm not going to be teaching anything, but I am going to be a mirror. And I want you to come back every day for the next 10 to see if you can see yourself somewhere in the mirror. Maybe the middle, maybe a corner, maybe a place you weren't ready to look at yet. The version of you that's still in there somewhere. The one nobody's maybe seen in a very long time, including yourself. So in 10 days, on June 8th, I turned 60. And I want to take this time and see if I can share some of the things that I've learned over these 60 years. 60 certainly lands different than 50 did. And if anybody tells you otherwise, don't listen to them, because 60 is different. It's like you want to take every moment. You want to take every moment and live it to its fullest. But not just that, you want to turn around and you want to see if you can help somebody else step into their power, into who they really are, maybe even meet themselves for the first time in a very, very long time. And these are things that I wish somebody had told me, maybe when I was 25, and maybe it would have saved me some pain. So I want to be honest with you about what I've lived, and if any of it sounds like your life, good. That's the whole point, right? You're not alone in any of this. Okay, so day one, and I'm going to be honest here. I thought I had this one down pat, but I'm learning that I am still learning this one. Actually, I just figured it out today that I still slip back on this one. And that is, you'll never find yourself by performing for somebody else's comfort. Or another way to say it is, do not dim your light so somebody else can shine brighter. And let me just repeat that. You cannot be your authentic self if you're performing so somebody else feels comfortable. And so what do I mean by that? I spent 30 years in corporate America, 30 years, and I was really good at what I did. I was really good at reading a room and understanding what the room wanted. I used to think of myself as a chameleon. I could put myself in any environment and understand what was needed. And that's probably why I did so well. But was that really the job? Not to ruffle feathers, smooth things over and smile? Honestly, I also did it at home. Whether it was in my marriage or with my kids. Even growing up, I was the one in the family who kept things calm, kept everybody comfortable, wanted to make sure everybody was happy. I was so good at forgetting there was a me underneath all of it. And I really thought I had this perfected, to be honest, but I found myself just recently slipping back. And the thing about the pattern of it all, right, is it works so well. I've gotten so good at doing that you kind of forget, like I didn't see it. It took me a little while to see it. It's always so important that people like you, right? They count on you. You don't want anybody, to pick an argument, or you just don't want anyone to be uncomfortable. But the whole time, you're the one who's bending. You're the one who's not being real. You're the one who's not being authentic, right? And then there's this little voice that, and I say all the time, it's your soul. And even as I was talking and words were coming out of my mouth, I knew, well, that's not what I really meant to say. But I always softened my message so as not to have anybody be upset. On the outside, your life looks fine. It looks good even. It just doesn't feel like yours. I know somebody must know what I'm talking about. And I only tell you all this because I think a lot of you are doing the same exact thing. Whether it's at work or home, in friendships, you're just swallowing what you actually are thinking because you don't want to ruffle any feathers. You don't want any disagreements. You're being the bigger person. I've heard that recently. But are you being you? And it's wearing you out. I know it's wearing you out. And you don't even understand why. It's the mature thing to do, right? But what if it's not maturity? What if it's just an old habit? An old habit of you disappearing so everybody else can stay comfortable. And, I believe we all come here with a gift. We all have a purpose. And actually, I wrote a note here. We all come here with a gift. And a lot of the times we're afraid to step into that gift. But the best thing we can do is step into that gift and shine. But then the ego will come out and say, don't get involved. You need to stay humble. If you shine, then somebody else will have to dim their light You shouldn't boast because it'll make somebody else feel small. But when you step into your gift and you shine, I think that gives the other person the opportunity to step into their gift. I truly believe that. And an example, I believe I've used this example before, but if you have a candle and you're trying to light a candle with this candle, and you light a candle, first of all, how many candles can you light? Infinity, basically, right? But also, when you light this other candle, how much of the flame of this candle is lost? None. None. So just by you shining bright does not mean the other person can't shine bright. Of course they can. So I just want you to ask yourself one question. And don't even do anything with it. Just ask yourself, I want you to notice, where have you been bending in your life and who for? And how long have you been doing it? Just notice it and just sit with it. And I'll be back tomorrow. If you're new here, hit subscribe so you can come back for the rest. And if anything I said today, rang a bell, drop it in the comments. I really do read them all. And remember, folks, how much you matter. I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.